There it is, man. That's the voice of Dhani Jones, good friend of ours, friend of the show. What a timely series, brother. What a very timely series, Beyond the Barriers. And, you know, as an athlete, Dhani, hello? Heather?
As an athlete pertaining to Dhani or you?
What happened?
As a past former athlete.
Well, anytime I refer to myself.
No. You can't be a former athlete if you're still moving. If you're still doing. You know what? I just did a 104-mile race in Steamboat Springs, Colorado, at 6,500 feet of elevation, going all the way up to 9,500 feet of elevation. It took me 8 hours. And it was over gravel on a bike. So I'm a current athlete. I'm just a former NFL player. There it is.
Okay, yeah, man. And you know what? And I think she was really talking about me, Dhani.
Dhani, I was talking about Sway. Because he said as
Sway's
a former athlete.
too, you know.
Yeah, man. I got up this morning. I did 25 push-ups. Give me a round of applause, damn it.
You got to start somewhere.
Yeah, he really competing with those 8 hours. I can put in.
But
crushing it, Sway.
Okay, well, I'm moving, Dhani. But I just thought this was such a timely series because we kind of don't know what goes on behind the curtain, especially with professional athletes. We only see what we see on TV or what we see in the finals. Typically, I'm thinking track and field, or when we watch football players on Sunday and Monday, or whenever it is we watch. But we don't see everything that goes on every single day. We don't know what went on behind the curtain, in their journey to get them to where they are right now. I see athletes under attack for some reason, and I'm an advocate for professional athletes. I thought that Osaka and Simone Biles, they really shifted the conversation in mental health. And by doing so, they gave other athletes the permission to prioritize their mental health and go against society norms, whatever these external demands were or expectations were. They defied all of that, and they got ridiculed for it. They got backlash for it. They got punished for it. People were like, well, you're a professional athlete. You're supposed to just go out there and do. What were your thoughts on that when you saw, and that's a barrier in itself too, especially for black women and female athletes, how public perception is?
Yeah, well, I would say number one, mental health is a real issue. And I think we're still in the midst of understanding what that really means, both from a mental and a physical side. I can only speak from my experience. There's plenty of times on 4th and 1 where you're on the goal line and you're having to talk to yourself, right? And there's plenty of times after a game when you feel as though you have to lift yourself up. And I think the great thing about team sports is that you do have the community of people that surround you, that are always protecting you, and that are always sort of in your corner. And I think on individual sports, it's much more difficult. But there is still a group of people that are aligned around you. But a lot of times, it's your coach, that's your trainer, that might be your manager. But when you have other people on the team, you have other people to sort of sit down and spend a lot of time with. But these are important discussions that everybody now is having. I think it's wonderful that we're having this talk because we have to be able to put things out there. Everybody's talking to their friends and their friends' friends. They're talking to their friends' friends and their kids. You're seeing this discussion come to the front because in the end, what we all want people to do is live a healthier, more fulfilled life. And it just takes lessons learned, and it takes people in community to be able to lift you up.
Absolutely. It takes, you got to surround yourself with the right tribe. You know what I mean? And people who are on that same frequency. This series, Beyond the Barriers, made me think about your journey and what barriers you must have faced coming up, in your pursuit of playing pro football, man. Can you share some of the hardest barriers that you had to get over?
It's I think one of the greatest barriers that I face, and I think most athletes face, is ultimately yourself. I hate to be cliche, but you wake up and you stare at yourself in the mirror, and you have to decide, how hard you want to pursue your goal. And it doesn't matter if you're playing football, basketball, baseball, the primary, big sports, or if you want to be a Formula One driver, or, if you want to be an endurance athlete, if you want to get on a bike and, as I said, ride 104 miles over gravel terrain, or, whether you want to be a runner, or, my sister, she's an Ironman athlete. These are all challenging circumstances that you put yourself through, and the biggest barrier is yourself. Now, obviously, in the sport, there are other barriers that come into it, especially in endurance sports, time, family, safety. When you're playing football, you're on a field, and so you're in a controlled environment with the rest of the team, and people who look like you, they know that you're playing the game. But if you're a black runner that's at 9 o'clock at night running through an all-white neighborhood or a place where you're unfamiliar, there's a lot of other things that kind of come into your mind that give you anxiety about your circumstance. Same thing as a cyclist. 4 hours in the morning going through neighborhoods and communities where you may or may not know people. These are barriers that unfortunately prevent other people from being able to participate in the sport.
Wow. You don't even think about that sort of stuff, right,
Right.
HB? Right?
Right.
Dhani Jones is here. We're talking about beyond the barriers. Some of the athletes you interviewed, they mentioned that safety was a big concern. And then they also mentioned race. Like not competitive, but ethnicity, race relations, racial inequities. What did they mean by that? Can you dig deeper into that?
Well, this is, Gatorade Endurance did this survey, and they really put it out to differing communities and people, because this is based upon this whole, the barrier actually evolved from an initial show that I did with them called Someone Like Me, which is talking about how do you get endurance athletes to participate in the sports, and especially minority communities where they don't see people that look like you. That's the one part where if you see someone that looks like you, you feel accepted. If you don't see anybody, then you're just wondering, am I actually supposed to be here? Right? And so that's how it started. And then we started diving a little bit deeper with Gatorade Endurance to say, okay, what were those barriers? And safety, you mentioned, is like one of the biggest ones. And I kind of alluded to it before, but it's a real situation. I mean, I have a friend that was in Detroit, Michigan. He's actually running through one of the neighborhoods, and he got stopped by the cops because he was running. And he's not allowed to be black and run. Now, when I go out and run, I make sure that I'm in full tennis ball yellow. I make sure I got all the lights and all the reflections on me. If anything, I'd like to be running with the bell so I can shake it so I can let everybody know, hey, I'm out here running. Right? Safety is a big issue. But being black while running, being black while cycling, being trans while cycling and running, those are all challenges that the LGBTQ plus community faces just as much as the African American community faces, just like females face. I mean, there are so many different things that people look at and say, you know what, I'd rather spend my time elsewhere. And by the way, time is another issue that people face as barriers when they try to get into endurance sports and other things as well.
Because some people can't dedicate a full day to their sport. They might have families. They might have second jobs, right? They might have all these other.
Look, Sway, running a marathon takes training.
Yeah.
Right? You're doing 25 push-ups, right?
Yeah.
With a marathon, that's 26.2. And so at some point you got to run 20 miles, 21 miles. That takes a long time. You do the math at a 9-minute mile and 20 miles. That's a lot of time. People don't have that. People got jobs all over the place. Cycling. If I want to be able to ride a century, which is 100 miles, right? I got to be able to I got to be able to spend that time. 100 miles going an average. I'm trying to be swift. I'm not like Justin Williams out there, right? Who's going like 25, 30 miles an hour. I mean, this guy's going to go to the Olympics. And for those that don't know about Major and Taylor, I mean, he's Justin Williams and Legion 39. They're the ones that are taken to the next level, right? But being able to go a century, 100 miles on a bike, that takes hours, 4, 5, 6 hours, depending upon the speed that you're going. So, people have family. People have to go to work. You can't just all of a sudden pick up. But what I would say is, a tip, just like in football, if you want to play a position and you want to get stronger, you got to go to the gym. Sometimes that time that you spend in the gym takes time. You got to be able to adjust your schedule. It's all about prioritization. And so we talk about it all the time. People got to decide what they want to do, right? If you want to increase your mental health, you got to work towards your mental health. If you want to be able to do 50 push-ups, you got to start with 25 push-ups, right? Sway, I lost 35 pounds last year, but it's because of the decision I made in order to train myself so I could become better. We all need to become better, and that's part of what, that's what endurance sports does for you. You know what I mean? And you got to get people to encourage you. You got to get the family to participate, because that's sometimes a barrier. You got family to take care of. You got to be able to get your family involved. Let's all go out and train together. Wake up in the morning at 6 o'clock, call your neighbors. Let's go for a long walk instead of instead of being on the phone all the time. Let's get active at lunchtime. Let's eat and walk. There's all different things. That's what I love about, what Gatorade Endurance is doing.
All right. Dhani Jones is here. Beyond the Barriers. It's a series. You could go to GatoradeEndurance.com/community, or you could go to Instagram.com/Gatorade Endurance. So that's GatoradeEndurance.com/community or Instagram.com/Gatorade Endurance. Dan is on the line from the Inland Empire, from the IE.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, what up, Dan? How you doing?
What's up, Dan?
Grand Rising.
Hey, Dan.
What's going on?
What's popping,
Hey,
man?
you know what? What I love about what you do out here, Sway, Heather B, and also Tracy, you give us a chance to give our flowers. Listen, I'm from South Jersey, Dhani, and I just want to tell you how much I respect you. And the reason why I respect you so much, sir, is because you gave me a chance as a former D1 collegiate athlete to focus more on than just the sport. Like I had. And then just watching you and seeing you as a Philadelphia Eagle at the time showed me that I could have been more than just a football player. I focused more on my major. I became a scientist. You understand what I'm saying? So just you were literally an inspiration that I never thought I would have a chance to just say thank you. So I just want to say thank you for being the person that you are.
Wow.
Thank you for being a gentleman. Thank you for being a leader, man. And to see that you're still doing it right now, and without being that football player, just gives me even more drive to just try to emulate what you're doing for the community and just pay it forward. So I just want to say thank you, brother. I really do.
That's dope.
Wow. I want to say thank you to you, and I love the fact that you became a scientist. That's amazing, and I think that we need to have more stories diversified from the world of entertainment and sports, because there are other people that look like us that need to be able to show those that don't think that there are people out there that look like us doing those types of things. And I appreciate those comments, because I frankly did it because I love it. And I think that's another part of it. You got to do the things that you love. Obviously, you have to prioritize the things that are in front of you, and hopefully you're fortunate enough in order to have the opportunity to diversify. But you got to go after your passions and do the things that you love, and bring along other people. Sway, you brought me along, and I appreciate that, because I love all the stuff that you're doing, and I love the fact how you lift so many people up. But our Black, African American people, our BIPOC people of color, all communities need to be able to see people in different areas so that they too feel comfortable enough to do those things. And by the way, talk about it too, right? Because sometimes, you're not talking for. I'm not talking for me. I'm talking for him. I'm talking for you. I'm talking for other people as well.
That makes sense. Hey, Dan, what kind of scientist are you? Dan?
Disease research scientist.
I'm sorry, say that again?
Disease research scientist.
Okay.
I'm an infectious disease research scientist, so I get to play with the bad stuff that you see in movies. But it's like Dhani just said, it's rewarding because it was something that I was always interested in. But I was always a really good athlete as well, and I was kind of brought up to think that's all I could do. So when I was seeing this gentleman on Philadelphia media and things like that, and he loved being a football player. As a kid, I used to oh, he loved football, but there was more layers to that type of an onion, you know? And I kind of understood that, wow, so I can still be me and do the things that I love to do, but there's also multiple things that I love to do. So again, he was an inspiration for me when I decided to make the choice to say, you know what, this is what I really want to focus on. So, you know, once I saw that he was going to be on your show today, I said, yo, if there's one time I have to call in, like I said, I just want to hand this man a multitude of flowers because he was definitely an inspiration in everything that I've become.
That's
Wow.
dope. Wow.
Very much so.
Appreciate that.
Come on, man. Come on. Dhani Jones.
Thank
Man,
you.
Dhani, just go on and cry, man. That's all right.
Okay, let it go, man.
Hey, I'm just trying to figure out what kind of flowers he's giving me. You know, I'm just, is it like birds of paradise? Or, you know, like lilies, lilacs? You know, Sway, I don't think a lot of people know, but, you know, I'm a big fan of flowers, so I appreciate that. One day I'm going to open up a flower shop, to be honest.
Hey,
So
he gave you African violets
the
right
literal
there.
said, huh? Which one?
He gave you African violets with the purple in it.
Okay, I'll take it.
There you go. Dan, you're a citizen. You're a citizen, Dan.
Sway in the
Thank you,
morning.
Dan.
Wow.
Wow. You gotta-
Dhani, this is Tracy. I'm happy to be speaking to you, bro. I'm wondering, what advice would you give to those who have friends or family members who simply are not in the season of their life where they do care about being active? You know, we've oftentimes heard that you are, you know, the average of the 5 people closest to you, or like sometimes you outgrow friends. Personally, I kind of have a different viewpoint on both of those things, because I think that people can be strong in other areas where they may be able to be an assist to you. But yeah, how do you deal with that? Is that enough where someone should now have a different position in your life if they don't value health in the same way that you do?
Well, I think it's always important to kind of, number one, diversify your surroundings of people, regardless of where they're from, in order to kind of gain experience and knowledge. I think when it comes to health and wellness, I think, number one, you have to be an advocate yourself. You have to do the things yourself. And then people start to see, and then they start to wonder and question. And I think you have to answer those questions holistically, and you have to be able to give them a plan. But first, you have to tell them your story, right? One of the things, as I said before, I lost 35 pounds over the last year. And that's because I got more into my biking. I got more into my workouts, and I actually found a community of people, and we do this workout every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 7 o'clock in the morning in 52 cars, right? And we each lead on different times, and we've each been in different places, and we've each challenged each other. And I think one is you have to challenge other people. 2 is you have to tell your story. And 3, you have to bring people along. You know, you might have a friend that might not be in shape. Just show up at their house. You have a friend that might feel down about, you know, their health. Spend time with them, you know, kind of softly guide them instead of going to lunch with them. Say, hey, let's just go for a walk in the park. Mm-hmm. Instead of, you know, having a breakfast. Say, hey, why don't you just wake up 7 o'clock and go spend some time by the, you know, spend some time by the river. You can lightly move these things into gentle hands to get people involved in things that they would never have otherwise done, to try things out. You know, number one thing when we talk about these barriers is being able to bring communities along, right? To get encouragement from other people. That's what you have to ultimately do.
Right. Got it.
There it
Thank
is.
you.
Thank you, Dhani. I'm gonna take one more call. I asked people if they were facing barriers to call up, and MJ from Mississippi has called up. MJ, Grand Risings, how you doing?
Hey, MJ.
Grand Rising, how are you doing? Hey, how you doing?
What up?
Hey, man, feeling good. It's
What's
Friday.
going on?
Yeah. Come on.
Yes,
Tell us your story.
Friday. Okay. I'm in the warehouse logistics still, right? Been there for almost 25 years, and every corporation I work with, they recognize I'm intelligent. I got good ideas, but when it comes time for me to, you know what I'm saying, get the recognition by getting another position, I always get passed over. So like, I got this job now where I'm on the road. So my company gets a crew of people together, and they go out and help fix warehouses throughout the country. And in my last site, I gave my manager a banging idea. I told him how it would help his part there in Mississippi. I told him how it would benefit his core group, and I could help, retain his employees, because he keeps losing employees because no one gets trained. I'm excellent on all the machines in the warehouse. I got good rapport with everybody. Everyone gravitates to me. I'm a natural born leader, but I can't get the opportunity to show how good of a leader I am.
Mm-hmm. And so what you need, are you asking for advice?
Yeah. So like, I'm on the verge now. I want to come off the road, go back, to the warehouse, to what I was doing. But I like the aspect of being able to touch down in different cities. I've been catching up with old friends from 20 years ago, 25 years ago, just by my job. And that's like a perk. I don't want to give that perk up. But on the other hand, I'm tired. It's frustrating seeing all these people up here trying to tell me how to do my job, and they've never physically done my job. So if you can't do my job, how are you going to tell me to do my job?
Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts on that, Dhani, in terms of the barriers that he faced?
Well, I'm listening to his story, and there does come a moment in everybody's life where you have to ultimately make a decision about what you want to do, not what you're doing, but what you ultimately want to do. And you set that plan, and then you set that plan in motion, and then you start to build a community of people who can help activate that plan, and then you start to make commitments to that plan, and it has to be really intentional. Just like you would train in order to play sports, you have to train yourself to make the transition, and you have to write down what your next play is going to be against the playbooks that have already been written, right? People love the game of football. Those plays have been ran for decades. But the great coaches take the plans, and they take the plays, and they make these slight adjustments. So what I would encourage you to do is to map out your plans, to make your plays, read about other people and how they've made their plays transition, and start to implement with the right community of people around you. Right? Build that team, implement the plan, and then go out and execute. It's very similar. They're very similar to sports. I would say the one thing to always just keep in mind is when you do go about the plan, you have to focus in on it. And I think one of the most important things about being mindful of your own mental health and your physical health is you do that in order to maintain focus, right? A lot of people don't think that staying healthy is a priority, but if you don't stay healthy, you can't focus, because your body is the most important thing that's going to carry you through. So I would put that plan into place. I would recognize that if the barrier is out there, acknowledge the barrier. But the barrier, sometimes a lot of people think the barrier is like 10 by 10. Sometimes the barrier is only 4 by 4. You can just go around it. And what the play will allow you to do is to go around that barrier and make your own sort of path for what you ultimately want to do and where you ultimately want to be.
And MJ, it sounds like you got all the resources and tools and knowledge you need to elevate in the field that you want to be in. And, man, just go for it, brother. We appreciate your call, man. We appreciate your call, MJ. I hope that was helpful, man. You're a citizen, okay?
Sway in the morning.
All right. You too, man. Dhani Jones. Hey, you guys, go to GatoradeEndurance.com/community and see the work that he's doing, or go to Instagram.com/Gatorade Endurance, or you could just follow him on Twitter at Dhani Jones, or on Instagram. What is that? D0057.
D0057, because I'm going to be the next Black James Bond. Or the first Black James Bond.
Okay, there you go, man. D0057. Hey, man, always good to hear from you, my brother. And I heard you, man. You lost 35, man. I'm on my mission, too. I'll let you know when I get there, though. All right?
Hey, Sway, if either of you or any of you want to be on the workout, you got to just tell me. You got to encourage and bring people along. That's what I always say. It just takes time, and things don't happen, like that. You got to be able to put the time and energy, just like you've built up your show. Your show is amazing, and it's got that longevity. That's what I want people to know is, like, you build the plan, you build the place, and then you can endure through all of that. That will take you wherever you want to go.
Man, appreciate you, man. I don't know if I want y'all showing up at my door at 6 in the morning, though. But I'll let you know with my mind right.
Hey, you can just get on Zoom.
Okay, I got it.
And I'll do the workout.
That's what's up, brother. I'll reach out to you. I love you, Dhani. Hey, man.
We're going to talk about it.
We go talk about it, my man, Dhani Jones, bro.